Were you addicted to Game of Thrones? I know I wasn't. Where are the rest of you at that didn't watch the show? Anyway, so some of you were very, very into the show and you'd watch it religiously every time it came out on TV. Now, what if I told you that of like, let's say the 10 episodes they had one season, they decided we're only going to put out 3 because we were too tired and busy to put out the rest of them. I'm pretty sure there would be like an Armageddon going on of people very, very mad about the show not coming out. But in reality, this exact example is what's happening with so many business owners where they are, excited about put out social media content wherever they're going and they're putting it out and they're super jazzed about it. And then they quit and then they just go away and then they come back randomly some other time. It's very inconsistent and it doesn't work. Consistency is a huge factor in social media. Now, consistency doesn't mean that you post 1 million times a day and you stick with it. It's finding a good amount of effort that you can put in and having that effort be repeated over time. For me, my LinkedIn posts, secretly, I've only put them out every other week nowadays. I used to only put them out once a month because that's all the energy I had to do. What that allowed me to do is it allowed people to see me on a regular basis and remember that I do something special, right? And they get little sprinkles of education every single time. Most people, my guess is probably 95% of people are not consistent on the internet and they're not going to get the results that they need. So with me, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how I keep with my people. So I do have an email list. I put out information every other week that gives people very, very light, easy social media tips into their inbox. By the way, you can sign up on my website, yoursocialmediasherpa.com. And that's what I do, because what happens is that, especially in my industry, and your industry might be different, people aren't necessarily ready to buy immediately. Surprise, surprise. And when I get to put out content on my email list, it lets people still think of me on a regular basis. Whether they read the email or not, my name shows up in their inbox. It lets people not only refer me, it lets people see me as the expert. It lets people feel thankful that I get to give them tips that they didn't know were possible. So, there's a chance for them to raise their hand when the time is right. But if they completely forgot about me, then they couldn't actually ever do that. Also, people in person will come up to me and say, "Oh, I love your emails," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's so exciting!" So for me, I can do an email every other week consistently, and I can stick with it, right? So people are prepared every other Friday to see my name pop up with something really insightful, or yeah, that's what they do. So for me, that's what I do, right? The LinkedIn, the email content's doing podcasts because it favors my strengths of talking. Hello, surprise, surprise. And people can discover me on there, right? I also love LinkedIn and video stuff and email because it's less writing and less energy, but it also favors me, right? So in ideal scenario, someone in my target audience can learn everything they didn't need to know about social media and build trust with them before they're even ready to pull the trigger, right? So I'm no longer a stranger to them. I am somebody that can actually help them. So what can you do right now to help you achieve this on the interwebs or beyond? Where are your best people? Is there a platform where they're already on for a lot of B2B? That's probably going to be LinkedIn, but depends on your industry. The other thing is, number 2, is there a place that you can gather people to feed them insights? Email is a great option. The best people most people are not ready to buy from you. The people who are most excited to buy from you are the most likely to get on your email list. So that is why it's so much valuable, that attention that you get on there. And for some people, it doesn't have to be all online. It could be a postcard too. I had one client that was selling commercial real estate, and a postcard with the same kind of content I've been talking about above could also do the trick, right? A lot of my content and a lot of what I teach is sustainable forever, whether I know the platform or not. It's feeding the right people the right information on a regular basis so they can raise their hand and say, yes, take my money and help me solve this problem. But it's tricky. Oh, I actually wrote this down as a note too. Like, I used to love to do events, and I was like, well, what if I do everything as events? And then I realized how exhausting that was, and I could not sustain it. So that was not my medium, but for you, it might be. Who knows? So the last one is, how often can you stick to putting out this information? You do not have to follow all the rules of the gurus, but something that is ideally once every 2 weeks or less is probably okay, but start slow and steady as long as you can stick to it. You don't want to crash diet here. That's happened to one of my clients who was doing this on TikTok, right? She got really excited for 2 weeks and then she quit. Like I told her she might. Believe me, I believe in my clients, but like, I also know when people kind of set their expectations too high. Sometimes I do that for myself too. And for me, I like to try to do one guest podcast appearance every month or so. So that's how I can find the balance in my life, because not every person wants to be a social media manager. And sometimes I don't want to be one either, because that is not my business anymore, right? And if anything, have someone else help you and manage it for you. Some of my best clients, and my favorite way to work with clients, is when they already have a social media executor on their team, which could be a virtual assistant, it could be a social media manager, it could be a marketing team. Those are the best people who can execute the quickest and make the most impact out of social media. So with that, it's all about finding consistency and finding a piece of content that you can put out that isn't going to stress you out. So if you're like me and you like video, great. If you're like some of my other clients who are writers, utilize that and you'll be in great shape. So if you want more of that kind of help, find me at yoursocialmediasherpa.com, where I have various offerings to get you to see how well you're engaging your valuable network online. See you in the next one.